Getting leads from your CRM. Hey everyone, it's Lauren Smack here, real estate broker out of Mississauga and Toronto, and founder of Real Estate Rookies. Today we are talking about CRMs. This is a rough plan that we have for today. We're going to talk about what is a CRM, why you need a CRM, how to get leads from the CRM, and we're going to review the 4 CRMs that I have. I'm going to give some CRM tips, and then you can ask me any questions you want about my CRMs or your particular situation, and maybe I can help you with either your CRM or anything else. So let's start. First one, what is a CRM? So CRM is a customer relationship management program. What it is, it's a platform that can hold all of your client information. So CRM could be many things. It could be as simple as an Excel sheet, and all you're doing is putting people's names, email addresses, and addresses on there. It could be as simple as your cell phone. That is a CRM as well, because your cell phone has a database of a lot of the clients. And if you want, you could put notes in there. The general idea with the CRM is to hold all the information about your clients and in a nice convenient spot. So that's what CRM is. And next we'll talk, why do you need a CRM? So the main reason why you need a CRM is because in general, the people that know, like, and trust you are the easiest ways of getting business. They typically won't beat you up as much on commission as opposed to someone who's cold. And the referrals usually will not beat you up on commission. Usually they're pretty good referral wise. They're just like, hey, this person, and then you like just do the business. On the other hand, there are, usually very, very close family and friends might ask you for discounts, that kind of stuff. But in general, it is, I find, easier that they'll at least give you the business. So ignoring the commission part of it, they will have a tendency of giving you the business versus not giving you the business. So that helps a lot. The details you want in your CRM, for example, would be details about the spouses and kids, such as their names, their birthdays, anniversary, maybe their interests. And the other two important parts are the postal addresses and email communications. Postal addresses is for their physical address so that you can mail them things or drop by with gifts. And the email communication is also important too, so that you can email them stuff. So those are the 3 most important parts of why you need the CRM. And again, your cell phone could be used if you want, if that's all you have. It's just not the most convenient way, because obviously if you had a platform that held all the information together, that is much easier than to scroll through your cell phone and look at the little notes you have on your phone. Let's talking about getting leads from your CRM. Okay, so the main one that people recommend is to categorize them into A, B, and C clients. You can categorize them however you want. People have different classifications for what A, B, and C client means. For me, A client is pretty much someone who will use you and will refer you. A B client would be someone who might use you and might refer you. And the C clients, do not really use you and will not refer you. And you might as well delete them. Or you could just keep them sort of in your database. A lot of online leads fall in this category. You want to sort of move the C clients to a B client and the B client to an A client. Or depending on your classification, maybe you have a D client and the D clients are the one that you delete and get rid of. But the C clients are the ones that kind of know you and you don't really know. And the main reason why you want to categorize them is it's easier to target if you want to do something. For example, at Christmas time, if you want to give like a bottle of wine to your clients and you want just the best ones, you want to be able to easily get a list of the A clients so that those are the ones that you're going to be loving on them a lot, versus the B clients or C clients who won't give you any referrals and won't use you. Again, the actual physical categorization doesn't matter as much. The part that matters is that you figure out or you decide what you want them to be. Some people for the A categories have, a handful, like 5 or 10. Some have like 100, 200, depends on the size of your database. But a lot of them feel that for the A clients or the A plus clients, the advocates, it's very difficult to love on them if you have like 100 of them. I probably have like a handful, like about 5, who have referred, 3 to 5 clients kind of thing and have used me multiple times. Those are like gold. Those are like the best clients ever. And, they don't think about anything. They just have their colleague, hey, my colleague's thinking about buying a house, you should definitely talk to, Lawrence. And then I talk to them and then maybe I get a deal, maybe I don't, but at least they're thinking about me. And those kind of advocates are just amazing. That's what you want eventually. But regardless, the way that you love on them again is you categorize them for the A, B, and C, and then you figure out who goes in which bucket, and then you talk to them that way. The second way you might want to categorize them is by type. So they may not be as important as A, B, and C, but also it's easier for you to market to. So for example, buyers, sellers, investors, or geography. So for geography, for instance, it would be your geographic farm, maybe people around your house, and then you continuously have the same newsletter about the local schools, fundraisers, marathon coming through, whatever it is. So you have your newsletter, and then you just give it to only the people in that farm. And so that's the geography part of you. Buyers and sellers, for instance, like investors, let's just say you have a list of investors and you always have a lot of pre-con that's coming down. You have maybe some rental rule changes. Then you can mail just investors and it makes sense to them. So separating them out like that sometimes helps. I mean, I have a general email list where I send it to everybody. But it is easier that, for example, whenever I have a rental rule change that is bad for the landlord, for instance, and I want make a video specifically about that, I usually just target just to the landlords. That way I don't alienate my renters. But I've done that a couple of times where, for example, they have like, an increased fine or increased problems with the laws so that now the tenants have even greater rights and landlords get screwed even more. Usually I will do a video like that, but have a little bit more spin about like how unfair it is. And then so I would do that type of video and only send it to my landlords. Versus if it was renters, and then now you have maybe new incentives or some type of new law that helps them, then I might structure a video or an email in that way and then talk to just the renters about how the rights have increased. But obviously, if I start talking in that way, my landlords are not going to be very happy because I'm sort of taking the side of the renter. So stuff like that is the idea. Similarly with buyers and sellers. From the buyer's point of view, like if somebody, say, for example, a first-time home buyer, if they're trying to look for a condo or look for that kind of stuff, it's a different dialogue than it is with the seller who's maybe thinking about upgrading or decluttering their house or that kind of stuff. So by targeting a specific type of category of person or family, it's easier for the message to get through because it'll feel like it's just to them. So that's why you might want to categorize in terms of types. Now, again, you can categorize this all day long, right? You can have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You can have a whole bunch of categories. But the important part is that if you have the category, that you're able to target them directly. Because there's no point in having 16 different categories, specifically you have like a Mississauga investor or something like that. And it's very, very specific that there's only 4 people that I'm targeting. And it's very time consuming for me to make a newsletter or a special email just for those 4 people. So you sort of want bigger buckets, at least at first. So right now I have like a big bucket and then you have sort of major categories. But if you want to go really, really in depth, it's perfectly fine, right? For example, a first-time home buyer, definitely okay. But it's hard for you to, with so many things to do, it is very hard for you to keep making a message for the first-time home buyer and then making a message for like the first-time home seller and then for the renter and that kind of stuff. If you keep doing that, like it's just a lot of work to specifically target each one. So I would recommend categorizing them, but bigger chunks of categorization. So the other ways that we can get in front of them is actually these 3: email, mail, and pop-by gifts. So this is the important information I like to keep in my database, specifically the email address so that I can mail them, their postal address so I can send them stuff, and specifically the reason why I like to do CRMs is because of pop-by gifts. Pop-by gifts is just a term that's coined by some people, some coaches, which is basically you pop by and you give them a gift. July 1st, you give them like a Canada flag or some seeds, or you give them like a Christmas gift or whatever you give them. All those little things, just show your face and just say hi. Many people also here have phone numbers, which I do not call, but a lot of managers and people suggest calling. And I think it's actually pretty good if you can do that. If you have the time and you like doing that kind of stuff, just give them a call, once every 3 months, once every 5 months, whatever it is, and then just call them up and connect with them. So that's another thing that you'll need here, which is phone numbers. So that would be about it for the leads. So that's the way that you would get leads. You really just want to get in front of your CRM so that they know, like, and trust you. Again, as I mentioned many times in terms of my CRMs and even my social media, my main goal is to have my sphere not unsubscribe me and not unfollow me. I want them to keep following me. So I do not talk too much about politics or that kind of thing, or religion, or, you know, all that kind of stuff. I try to really stay away from it. I keep most of my feed very lighthearted. Hopefully people enjoy it. You know, jokes here and there, talking about my son, talking about movies, whatever it is. Just very lighthearted so that people are like, oh, that's kind of fun. Oh, yeah, that's kind of funny. And then they just move on. But they don't unsubscribe me. If all I'm doing is posting just listed, just sold, I'm at open house, look at this picture, look at this amazing stuff. Here's another market report. It's just like, unsubscribe, right? Like, I don't know who really wants to keep looking at that day in, day out. But if you sprinkle it in there, and majority of the time I'm just talking about myself, the places I'm going, the things I'm seeing, all the food I'm eating, and then occasionally put in, you know, just listed, just sold, it's okay. And people probably won't unsubscribe from me. And that is my main goal, just so that you keep in front of them. Same thing with my videos. The reason why I do videos a lot is because people feel that they are very comfortable and that they're acquainted with me because they continuously see my face. And so maybe you had that experience as well. You think you've seen me so much that if you met me on the street and this has happened, they're like, hey, how's it going, Lawrence? And I don't know who you are, is because you're just very comfortable with me because you keep seeing me. And so that's the feeling you want to give to your clients, to your sphere, to the people who know, like, and trust you, to your friends and family. That's basically the main goal, so that they continuously see you and then they just feel comfortable. Oh yeah, I need real estate. I might as well call up Lawrence. That's the goal. So then that's the actual way that you get leads from CRM, is really keep in touch with them. Okay, next, I'm going to review my 4 different CRMs. Hopefully they were for you, but I just want to go through the 4 that I have, which seems like a lot. Maybe it is, I don't really know. First one, Exact Contact. So this CRM is the one that I started with at the very beginning of my career. My manager, first thing he suggested was get a CRM, get this one. So I did, signed up. I've gotten at least 1 deal out of it that I can trace. The main deal that I got was on my first week. I basically took my whole email, put them in here, and then the newsletter just sort of kept dripping them. And then after about 5 years, the client came back, or the person I just met at a poker game. Okay, I met the person once. Met the person at a poker game once. I got the email address. I put it in the CRM. It just dripped them. 5 years later, hey, my wife and I are looking to buy and sell a house. Can you help me? And the answer was, yes, I can. So that's the power of the CRM and the power of just dripping. That's with Exact Contact. So it's a specific thing. So a lot of the CRMs have very, very similar structure. You can put in things such as their name, their email address, their phone number, their address, some notes about them. They're all very similar in that way. So I wanted to go through the reasons why I have 4 different CRMs and the advantages of each one. So with Exact, I felt Exact is a very, very good one for rookies specifically. They came with a free website, a free newsletter, and free email history, which is good. So I'm going to quickly show you all 3 of those. So this is their CRM. So the CRM, I just made a quick one. It's the same information here in terms of you put in notes about the person, you put in their address, that kind of stuff. So the CRM part is very straightforward. The next part they have is a free website, which I thought was good. I don't use it anymore. I have like 4 or 5 different websites. This specific one I don't use anymore, but it's pretty good. Like right out of the box, it's like, this one looks clean. You can change the theme of it. You can change all the different articles. You can, put in different blogs if you like. This one, if you want to pay extra, this one links with the IDX. Actually, all of them, if you pay extra, typically, yeah, I think all 3 or 4 of them, if you pay extra, you can get an IDX, which means that it can link to the MLS so that you can show listings. So when I started, that's what I did. Because I made it look like I had a whole bunch of listings. I set it up directly so that when you go to the website, you see the listings for sale, and then it just looks like it was part of mine. Some people ask me, is that yours? And it's like, no, but those are friends and family, and that's when I started. So the fact that this comes out of the box is pretty good. Again, for a rookie, I thought it was excellent. The second thing that they came with was a newsletter. So the newsletter, give you an idea about the newsletter. Okay, this is what the newsletter looks like. What's going on here? Why is this not linked? try that again. There we go. Now the image shows up. This banner, I made myself and you upload it. So the newsletter is pretty good, again, especially for rookies, because they make a newsletter for you. So when I started, all you did was you put your whole email database in there, and then it just drips them. Like once a month, it just sends them an email. And the email by default is pretty good. It's like here, so this is this month, dear Jane and John. I don't know, it's just some fluff usually, but it's pretty generic. I mean, it's not terribly written. What I like to do with the newsletter typically was I replace this part's customizable. I replaced it with market stats. So I would say in January or in March or in April, Toronto sold for this amount, Mississauga on average sold for this amount. If you have any questions about the market, give me a call. So I replace it so that this is actually customized and it doesn't look like a template. But the advantage of this newsletter, not only is this first part written, so that's me, is when you go further down, it actually writes like a couple articles that you can choose to turn on or off. Usually I think there's about 3 of them. So this one is about, these are the places buyers look like when viewing your home, kind of cool. This is determining the future of your neighborhood. So, I mean, I wouldn't call them fluff pieces, but they're actually well-written articles, 7 master bedroom staging ideas. So they're actually very, very good articles that they can send to your sphere. Yeah. So sorry, I just looking at the chat. So one of the questions why we have so many, what's the reason to have a few websites? The short answer is there's not that many advantages, but there are some, and that you can do different types of marketing depending on the website. So back to the newsletter. So the newsletter, I mean, it's pretty good. It comes with some quotes. And so this one is free. Like when you buy the subscription to Exact Contact, they give you this writing free. And I thought it was pretty good. Also, it links it with another one called Morse Marketing, which is their sister company. And then you can mail out newsletters, like physical newsletters based on the postal address. So I did that for about a year. I thought it was pretty good, although maybe kind of a waste in terms of the environment, sending too many things. So I stopped that, but I did it for about a year. But it was pretty easy to link up and then pay per piece. I think it was like $1 or $2 per piece, and then it just sends out. So some people use it for 12 months, some people do it 4 months out of the year, but at least you want to get in front of them. And the reason why you want to get in front of them is if they unsubscribe from one method, such as email, they're at least getting a physical mailer. But if they don't want to see your physical mailer, they tell you to unsubscribe from, stop mailing me, stop emailing me, stop calling me. Maybe you don't want them in your CRM, right? And it's okay if you don't. Not everyone's for you, and you're not for everybody. So anyway, the newsletter is sort of the main reason why. And the last reason why, which was kind of cool, is, let's see if I can get that up, is oh wait, it's this one. Nope. Whatever. Okay, and then log in. And this one. Okay, so the main reason why is history. So this is kind of cool. So what this is, so the way this works is if you put an email, I'm gonna make an email. We're gonna go. If you email a client and you CC notes at Exact Contact, it'll actually take a copy of your email and keep it in the CRM. So this is actually very useful. It also has a Gmail link too, which I don't have because I don't use Gmail. But the fact that you can email and CC notes is pretty useful. In the past, I used that a lot. So in this example, I emailed myself and I CC'd myself. And so in one place, you can look at all the history of all the emails that you talked to yourself. So that's the reason why. In fact, I will try to send a test to myself now. Let's try this. Test@test.com, I think is what I called it. This is a live test. Let's see if it works. Probably going to bounce. Let's see if it works. No point if it doesn't work, but if it does, it's kind of cool. It's supposed to work, but I changed my email address to test@test.com, and so that's why it may not work. Oh, it is. There it is. Look, this is a live test. So it's kind of cool, right? So you could just put yourself CC and it goes into the account. So that's the main three for Exact. If you want to sign up, there's a code extend60. I think it gives you an extra month or two or something like that. But if you're a rookie, it actually gives you 6 months free. So that's very helpful if you're starting out. It's got to be, I think, within the 12 months of your registration. Double check with them. But that one's pretty cool. Anyway, so that's Exact Contact. That's the main one I use when starting out as a rookie. And I use that for like 5 years because it has a website, it's got a free newsletter, and it's got an email history, which is great. It also has all the other stuff that the CRMs have, which is a campaign, as in you can sort of drip people through email. So that's Exact Contact. Okay, next, Agent Locator. Let's see if I can motor through these. This is quite a bit. I mean, I can talk for a long time on a lot of this kind of stuff. Agent Locator. So Agent Locator looks like this. And I'll probably have to edit the screen. So Agent Locator, it's another type of database, again, that you can put stuff. The reason why I like Agent Locator specifically, a couple things. So this one also comes with a free website. Mine is called livelaurenpark.com. So it allows you to do searches like a regular MLS, but this doesn't cost extra. For this part, this is included with the package. And then people can start searching up different areas and then make inquiries about the different areas. So that's the cool part of Agent Locator. The important part I use about Agent Locator is called Street Match, and that's this one. And Street Match is really, really cool. What Street Match does is you can put in, you know what, let's try to see if I can go in for myself. So here, Agent Locator. I'm gonna try to go in so I don't have to white out that much, and then you go Street Match. And then we go under. You know, I'm gonna randomly pick person like this person. I'm just trying to see what I'm going to. I'm gonna have to filter them out later. But specifically, okay, specifically what Street Match does is that it allows you to put in the address of your client, put a radius around their house, and then anytime anything sells in there, it emails it to them. It's really, really cool. A lot of people really like it. I'm going to see if I can bring up something. Why doesn't it show up? This is very strange. Manage options. Yeah, I don't know how to quickly get to here. Edit email. I'm going to try once more, and then we're going to leave it here. Details. I don't know why I can't get into the Street Match part. Anyway, we'll just edit that part out. So that's the cool part. You put in their address and you put in a radius around their house, and then it just gets sent to them. And so that I've sent. So a lot of clients like that because it's a way for me to drip them, and most likely they're not going to unsubscribe from me. So if you live in a house and you get an email, so wherever you live now, let's pretend I emailed you, and once a month or once every week, you get a list of the houses that sold around your neighborhood within like, 1 kilometer radius. It's pretty useful information. And so whenever you lead with value and you give information, a lot of people likely will not unsubscribe. And if you really unsubscribe from this because you don't want to know about the houses around the area, and again, you don't want me to call you, you don't want me to mail you, you are probably not going to use me as a realtor. And I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's okay. Take me out. I'll take you off my list. So that's the main reason why I like Street Match. I like Agent Locator because of the Street Match. I forget if I have a code for this, but if you're interested, let me know. Might be discount. Okay, KV Core. So KV Core comes with EXP Realty. So the brokerage I'm at. There's a couple of advantages with this. So one, again, it has a regular CRM that has information such as their name, their address, that kind of stuff. The reason why I like it is because it also has a public website, which looks something like this. So this is a public website. People can inquire about different properties and they can message you. So again, a website comes with it as well. I use this mostly for cold leads. I don't like it. I don't like to put all my warm leads together. Because, well, specifically this one is only for cold leads. So what it does is when there's someone I don't really know, I put it in here, and then it gives them a list of, just listed or whatever properties it is around an area or something looking at, let's just say looking at rentals in Mississauga, then I will put them in this database and then it'll just drip them rentals in Mississauga. I don't have to go to Stratus and set it up. I don't have to go to Matrix to set it up. I just put them in here and then it goes. And then it just drips them once a month or once a year or however often and just says, hey, how's it going? And it's a very, very strong system. This one normally, I think it costs like $400 a month or something like that if you were to pay for it normally, but it's included with their brokerage fees at EXP. But it's a very strong one. So for example, if somebody went back to look at an old listing like a month ago, I'll get a text message and say, hey, John Smith went back and looked at it again. Maybe you want to talk to him. Like it's a pretty strong program for that. I also do get random leads on this, not a lot, but random. Like I don't know where they came from. Like someone would just ask me a question about a property. And I'm like, oh, how's it going? So that again is a website. It's included with EXP and it's pretty good for what it is right out of the box. They have a lot of options as well, pay-per-click, Google, Facebook, that kind of stuff. So that's EXP. And the last one I use is Sendinblue. So Sendinblue is the website I use for emailers. So Sendinblue, I send out, I think at this point my database is like 2,000 or it's more than 2,000 in terms of people I email. And so this is a mass mailer program. And the reason why I have 4 different CRMs is because if somebody unsubscribes from this one, I want them still to be subscribed to the other stuff. I want a way to still maintain them. So there are people that unsubscribe from this, but like this one with the Street Match. And there's some people who unsubscribe from Street Match, but they like this because I give them listings and I occasionally drip them. So it's very strange what people like and don't like, but because I have multiple systems, they are still in my web and I can still touch them in some way. Like the important part is if you do not have the email address, it is very difficult for myself to still touch them because it's not like I'm calling up 2,000 people to have a chat with them because there's way too many people and I don't really like calling them up to chat with them. So emailing them is an easy method for me. And I just want to make sure that the email is good and it does not get unsubscribed. And so I email them in a lot of different ways. And so this is my main mass mailer. There's other ones like MailChimp or Constant Contact. There's a whole bunch, there's like hundreds, if not thousands of different CRMs. This is the one I thought was the best one for me. It also has hot maps, which is kind of cool. It allows you to see what people clicked on. So for example, I give whether you give property information or you give information such as a new video that I just made, you can see who clicked on it and who didn't. Or if they're interested in, properties that are properties for sale in Mississauga. And I have a link for that because I just make a link so that if you click on it, it just shows you all the properties for sale. If you have that, I can see the 5 people that clicked on that. And so now I can go email them specifically or target them and say, hey, are you looking for a house in Mississauga? How can I help you? So that type of segregation or categorization of the database is very, very helpful. Anyway, those are my 4 CRMs. I can go into more depth for each of them, but for sake of brevity, we're just going to continue on. So those are the 4 CRMs I use. Next, CRM tips. Okay. Let's see what we got. First of all, like I mentioned before, I really like the idea of having multiple CRMs. I think it is a good idea because again, if somebody unsubscribes from one of your CRMs, they'll still stay subscribed to the other CRM. I mean, having 2 is probably all you need. You probably don't need 4. 4 is likely overkill. I mean, I'm paying for all 4 CRMs in one way or another. So it might get expensive for you if you want to do that. Again, if you're a rookie, I would suggest Exact Contact or whatever your brokerage gives you. But if you want to do some of the other things I wanted, such as the Street Match or to have squeeze pages, which the CRM, which KV Core does as well. A squeeze page is that you can make a link for just one property and you can take that link and put it on Facebook. And when people click on it, it goes into your website. So all this kind of stuff, there's pros and cons to everything. But the first part is have multiple CRMs. I really think it's important. I also think that if you do have a CRM tied to your brokerage, that may or may not be a good idea. Some people are okay with that. But for me, both my email address, my website, that kind of stuff are completely separate in case I need to move brokerages for whatever reason. I moved brokerages twice, maybe the 3rd time, maybe not. I kind of like where I'm at now, but you never know. stuff happens, right? Maybe for some reason you got to move to California or something, and now you have a totally different brokerage, you have a totally different everything. So it's a lot different, or maybe more accurately, like you're moving somewhere else in Ontario, and so the particular brokerage that you're at maybe isn't there. So that's the first part. Have multiple CRMs. Second part, all CRMs suck, and that is true. In other words, you're never going to find CRM that does everything you want. You're going to use a CRM, and then you're going to be like, oh, I really wish that this had a better way of categorizing my clients, or as a better way of dripping them, or as a better website, and that's going to be true. You're never going to find a CRM that does everything. Trust me on this one. I've evaluated many CRMs. Many people I know have evaluated many CRMs. There's always something about it that they do not like, but that's okay. What you've got to do is pick one and get it working. Even if it's an Excel sheet and all you're doing is putting stuff in, that's free. Or a Google sheet, that's free too. Just start putting in there and just put the information so that you can reference it later. Trust me, that's the important part. Just use a CRM, whatever it is. And there's also free CRMs online. I think HubSpot, some other ones that are free, and a lot that are relatively inexpensive. So just use something, just put the information in there. A little note on here. Many CRMs make it very difficult to export the data. I've talked to people who own CRMs, and they said that was intentional because they want you to stick with the CRM. So the idea to export the CRM to another CRM is not that easy. So it's something else you want to consider before you go into a CRM. Next, delete your contacts. So this is a philosophy that some people have. Some people's philosophy is, I want my CRM and my database to be as huge as possible. Some people like the idea of making it as small as possible, which is, unless you're going to buy or sell shortly, or you're not going to refer, if you're going to refer me, that's great. You're going to stay in my database. Otherwise, I really don't need you in my life. I'm just going to delete you. There's a whole spectrum there. Myself, I usually just delete the people who I don't want to work with again. There are clients, and you may or may not get there, but there are clients that I honestly do not want to work with again. They were terrible, gave me a lot of headaches, and I just stopped mailing them, unsubscribe them from my mailing list. I don't give them anything physically. I don't give them anything through email, and that's okay. I don't know if they realize it, or maybe they do realize it, who knows? It just wasn't a fit, so I just sort of slowly unsubscribed them. But for other people, I pretty much just keep them on my list. The people that are kind of tangential, I move them. So there are clients, for instance, that decide to use another realtor, but they're also family. Okay, they're on my list, but they're no longer a B list. Now they're down to a C list, and my mailer email will just email them. Great. But I pretty much don't respond to any questions about tips about the real estate. I don't send them any gifts. I don't do any of that kind of stuff, because now that I know that they're a different category of client, I just don't want to waste my time with them, because you only have so much time, and you really want to love on all the people that are your A-list clients. Keep it up to date. That's another CRM tip. Easiest way is at the end of your process when you're closing out a transaction. That's a good time to update all your notes about them. Try to get all the information about their spouses, their kids, maybe birth dates. I like to send them. I like to send them gifts on their birthday. For me, just a cupcake is nothing big, but lottery tickets, whatever you want to do. You can send them something, but you can only send them something if you know when their birthdays are or their anniversary, because if you don't know them, it's kind of weird just to send them something randomly. A lot of people will not unsubscribe you if you're sending stuff to their kids. I think it's probably okay. So you could just send them stuff if you like, but just keep the database up to date, both for the addresses and phone numbers, email addresses. But the easiest way is after a transaction has closed. And again, to check if their address is up to date, you can always check. And if they're not, then you can remove them from your database, which I've done a couple of times. Some of them weren't very close because I don't know who they were. I must have gotten them from an open house or something. But then I find out that they no longer own the house. So it's a waste of, it's only like $2 to mail them something, but it's still $2 saved. And the time it takes for me to prepare the whatever it is and to mail it to them. Email is gold, especially their personal email address. If you only get the work address, is one level. If you get their LawrenceMac123 spam@yahoo.com, as in that's where all my spam emails go in my newsletter, that's not quite as good. But if you can get, for example, their personalized Gmail account, that's pretty gold. That means you're going right through their work email and you're going right to their personal account. And if you can get that, that is huge. And the reason why I like email again is because I don't really physically call them all. I mean, I might call them occasionally, but that is not part of the way that I keep in touch with them. The way I keep in touch with them is through email. And the main way is through my weekly mailers, so that although they don't read my email address, they're not unsubscribing from me. And then hopefully after a year or two, all they see in the inbox or in their special folder with me in it is just my name and a whole bunch of emails every week for the past 2, 3, 4 years. And they're like, okay, this guy is on top of it and he's got the discipline to keep mailing me every week. So that is my goal with my email. So far, I've been doing that for more than a year. And hopefully I can do that. I'll keep it up for many, many years and forever. And then as long as that email gets out there, that's a plan, which means I need a good, valid email address. And lastly, start today. It is very, very important. One of the regrets I hear from most top producers in every single interview is pretty much, what would you do differently? And they're like, oh, I would have kept track of my clients better. I had all these clients at the beginning of my career and I don't know who they are and they're sort of lost. That is what a lot of the top producers, especially that have been around for decades, that's what they'll say. And the main reason I would say is because the technology wasn't really there for them to systematically keep track of it. I mean, maybe the really diligent ones had them in a binder on a piece of paper and they start writing down all the notes. But right now, because of technology, the CRM is super, super easy. Again, an Excel sheet or any of the free ones, or even if you want to use your brokerage CRM, whatever it is, there are so many options available. Just start putting the information somewhere. Start today. That's the most important part. Okay, that was a mouthful, but mastermind time. Does anybody have any questions at all about CRMs or anything in general? I'd be happy to answer it.